probably had even like micro breakdowns, I would say, but didn't acknowledge them and just carried on because you got to carry on. And that's my background. Don't complain, carry on. And that's not always the right thing to do.
Hello everyone, I'm Mark Tuxford and welcome to my podcast, People Behind Brands. Brought to you by Making Websites Better. In each episode, I'm joined by an inspirational guest to hear more about their individual life lessons and how it shaped them into who they are today. To never miss an episode, subscribe to our exclusive content now and follow us on our social media platforms. People Behind Brands, life lessons from the world of business. Niki Avraam is a powerful woman in business. A highly successful individual in the legal sector, working on many high-profile cases whilst fronting and co-founding her law firm, Howat Avraam Solicitors. In recent years, Niki has positioned herself at the forefront of empowering organisations and individuals to exceed their potential in the future of work, a change she is incredibly passionate about and why you should take control of your own destiny. Throughout our chat, Niki opens up about how she struggled with a work-life balance, how she masked personal hardship and family bereavement by throwing herself into the world of work to keep busy, and the realisation that her personal interests are simply an escape from a challenging life at the top. A humble and honest take from a woman who shares her life and career experiences for the benefit of others. Niki, welcome to People Behind Brands podcast. How are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good. Yeah, not too bad, thank you. Great to have you on. Where are you joining us from today?
I am in sunny Surrey.
Nice. Very nice. As one of our valued clients at Making Websites Better, Niki wears many hats in her profession, from positioning herself as a speaker, business advisor and writer, in addition to her role as an employment and commercial solicitor at her firm Howat Avraam Solicitors, working on many high-profile cases during her career. Niki's passion, confidence and professionalism has seen her become a seasoned podcast guest on other platforms, where she promotes the power of ownership in business and motivating the workforce so that we can all thrive and work towards common success. A powerful woman in business who is also keen to open up about her life lessons and how those experiences have shaped Niki into who she is today. So if we get straight into the first question, Niki, so perhaps you could take us to the start of your career to where you are today. Where did it all sort of begin for you?
Yeah, who is this impressive lady you've just described? This powerhouse. No, I'll take it back, and I'll try not to go into a sort of whole Jackanory story. But I've had what I would describe as an unconventional journey through law. It's been entrepreneurial, and I describe it as unconventional because I really brought that sort of business nous to the legal industry. Which wasn't the done thing, I guess, back then. So when I qualified, I was offered jobs in commercial law, and it had a very delineated, transparent career trajectory. I kind of knew if I played my cards right when I was going to become associate and when I would become a partner. And that notion I found quite dull and uninspiring. I wanted to have impact. I saw that employment law was growing. A lot of legislation was coming in from Europe. I saw that as almost like a vehicle for societal impact. And it did have that. It was changing all the time. It was exciting. And I was also really motivated by the notion of having autonomy, agency over the way I worked, control. And I wanted to enrich the firm and its clients. I wanted to serve people better. And they were wanting that advice, that help with their workforce, with all the employment claims that were coming, and also to defend individuals. So I put a business plan on the table, and we collaborated in terms of how we would grow that department in the firm. And that was, it felt like I was smashing conventions in some way, because the typical younger lawyer was sitting in a back room drafting stuff, wheeled out to see clients a few years later. And it was met, it wasn't always welcomed by all of my colleagues. I was a younger lawyer going to networking events. Not all lawyers were collaborative in the way that they wanted to work. They were possessive over their clients. But I had great mentorship, and I pushed through because I had that central meaning, that purpose, that I really believed in what I was doing. I was growing something for the good of others as well. And so I pushed through that, and I really brought that entrepreneurial background to the legal industry. And that's really informed, when I reflect on it now, it's really informed what I talk about, having agency and control over how we work, and the importance of that. And then I went on to do that at other firms. And that's really how I cut my teeth. 10 years ago, I founded my own firm, Howat Avraam, with my very good friend, Matthew. And we sought to work in that collaborative way, surround the clients with everything they needed, a broad commercial offering.
So just take us a little bit back to Howat Avraam Solicitors in terms of the services that you provide. What sort of services are you providing to your clients?
It's a business law offering. So essentially, we're putting the client in the middle, and we're like, what does that business need? That's how we started. What do they need? Essentially, commercial litigation. When there's a contract dispute, when there's money's being owed, when there's any sort of difficulty around contract terms, commercial litigation, corporate mergers and acquisitions, corporate terms, employment and discrimination law, commercial property. Those are the main pillars of what we do. But we do that in a very sort of practical, okay, what's the business problem, and how do we apply all of our skills in order to sort that problem out, and also to make the business better. We want to be positive in that way.
Yeah, very much so. I mentioned that you'd worked on many high-profile cases during my intro for your legal career, and without going obviously into too much detail of such cases, I mean, how does it feel for you personally to work in quite a highly pressured environment and getting the right solution for that client?
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned before that service, providing that service, going above and beyond, has always been central to me. And we built that practice into the firm, so that means really, like I say, holding the client's hand and really going on that journey with them. I became better over the years of really trying to divorce myself from the emotion, but keeping that empathy. But if I reflect back on all the major events of my life, right, the positive and the difficult, family deaths, when I had my children, going on honeymoon, those are punctuated. This might sound quite tragic. Those are punctuated by my memory of what cases I was working on, what was happening in my business life, whether it was when I was a partner at firm before, when I was running the business. I know exactly what I was working on at all those times in my life. And that's how dominant it has been in my life. Going above and beyond and really getting to the bones of a case, or the bones of a business. It's not necessarily the price you pay, but it bleeds into every aspect of it has bled into every aspect of what I've been doing.
Yeah, and I'm guessing some of that is because you genuinely care about that final result, I guess, for that client.
Yeah, it was never just, okay, this is a service we're providing. It's very transactional. And it wasn't even about the result, whether we won or lost. It's about what the client journey is like.
Yeah. So I understand you're not lawing day to day anymore, but I know it's important for you to talk about your legal background. So when you consider your experience as an employment lawyer or law firm owner, how do you feel your own experiences can inspire or educate others?
Yeah, I mean, it's an important platform, and I stopped trying to separate each chapter of my life. It's chapters, but it's a continuous book, right? So my employment legal background, my ownership of the firm, that has everything I speak about, all the concepts around ownership culture, the importance of having control over what we do, and why that's important to address that sort of that disengagement that's happening at the moment. All of that is derived from my own experiences from smashing those conventions throughout my career, and the way that I've worked, and the importance of agency, but also how closely I've worked with people and businesses, and really bearing witness to all of their journey, and taking that on board to inform all of the things that I'm so passionate about. It's because I've lived it, I've breathed it, I've seen and been on the journey with others that have lived and breathed it. So it's almost like it's, you know, you sit down and you reflect on that, and it kind of needs to come out. I feel like it's incumbent that I talk about this stuff, right? It's important. And I feel like it's important to talk about it now.
Yeah.
Because we are going through this together. We hear a lot, there's so much noise around lack of motivation, the disengagement that's going on, people sleepwalking through their work. You know, how we feel about work. And, you know, there's not that separation anymore. It bleeds into every aspect of life. And we deserve to feel invigorated and motivated by what we do. And also, that's the only way that we and organizations can thrive.
Yeah, developing yourself as a public speaker can be quite a saturated market, depending on the subject or topic you are talking about. But nonetheless, you've had a large amount of self-belief and confidence to articulate your point in strategies, delivering keynotes and masterclasses. So where do you think that confidence or mentality comes from to provide insight on those topics?
I mean, there's a lot of noise, isn't there? I feel a lot of people are saying a lot of things. I think I never looked at it as, oh, I want to be a public speaker. And I actually don't think that's the right way to approach it. It's more about, what do you care about?
Yeah.
What do you care about, and why is it important that you speak about it and you share that message with people? And does that add value to people? And once I start focusing on that, it's more, okay, now I feel compelled to express that message and to find interesting ways to explain that and talk about it, and to try and be inspirational along the way, to share everything I've learned, and to do it in a way that's relatable, that resonates with people. And that's really how to help them. And that's helped me really look at what is the essence of what I'm doing. And that's why when you ask, why is it important, you know, and why do you feel it's important to speak about it? Simply, it's, changing the way we work. I'm passionate about that. And looking at how we can all flourish, exceed our potential together, and try and find our way in this. It's like an era of volatility, and we don't know if it's going to become more stable, if anyone knows what the hell they're doing, but we could find our way together. And the only way to do that is to really take charge and to really get used to working outside our comfort zone, working that preferred discomfort, being adaptable, because things are changing at a very, very quick pace like never before.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I firmly believe, and I think you've kind of just sort of touched upon this in a way, that people buy from people they know and trust. So when you consider your own USP, whether that be from an ownership to engaging with organizations, why do you think people choose you to work with?
It's a difficult one. Why me? You know, never been the only one to provide a legal service, never been the only one to talk about, you know, working outside of your comfort zone, exceeding potential. I care. I think the central thing is I've always cared about what I'm doing. I care about how I provide a service. I care about what I talk about. That's, by the way, I think it's a weakness and a strength. And I'm not talking about, you know, when you run a business, having to do the finances or the kind of boring admin stuff that no one talks about. That's fine. It's all part of the main thing. But having that central purpose and caring about what you're doing and who you're doing it for, people can see that. They can see how animated, how much you care, how passionate you are. If you're just, you know, doing things for the bottom line, do things to get through the day, you develop a real tone, and that colors everything that you're doing, from how you speak about it, how you write about it, and how you talk to people. And you know, you just find yourself getting it, or I found myself, whenever I felt stuck, getting increasingly pissed off, and you know, and that displays. So it's just, I guess, caring and trying to execute it to the best of my abilities.
I was going to ask you what you feel that your purpose is, whether that's professionally or personally, but it kind of sounds to me that it really is that you care about literally anything that you're doing. Like you don't do something unless you care about it, but also if there's a point to it as well, I think. So I guess that's the answer to it in a sense. But I think my next question would be is that, you know, our podcast is founded upon honesty and how testing times have impacted, good or bad, on our personal lives. So away from business, can you tell us about a challenging time in your life that made you who you are today?
Yeah, I mean, you know, I'm not getting any younger, so there have been lots lots of challenges. But that, you know, the purpose that you mentioned helps, whether it's, I don't really separate. I know it's kind of the work balance thing. It's I don't really separate the two. So central purpose carries me through those difficult times. And I guess there's always been that central theme of just not being stuck, and trying to have impact, change, and not being shackled by the status quo, by precedent, and encouraging people not to be stuck by that. And that's colored everything I do. And like I say, it's that caring about what you do takes you through. I mean, if I think about all of the difficult times, that at times I have been too focused on the case that I'm working on the business that I'm running. You know, like I say, everything's punctuated by that. When I lost my brother-in-law in a munitions explosion in 2011, and I remember what I was doing when I got home from the funeral. I had a big case against the paper press, sex discrimination case, which I really cared about. It was a big case. It lasted for years. I remember coming home and doing a conference on that, flying back early because I had a hearing. That case carried on to when I was pregnant with my oldest daughter 12 years ago. So it's, you know, what I would say about that is that I have been really bad at taking time to process what I've been going through, and instead just plodding on. And what I found, what I've really learned throughout my life is that you pay the price at some stage, right? No one's a machine. And this is not about resilience. You know, I consider myself a resilient person. A lot of us, you know, when we face adversity, we develop that resilience. But you still have to be real, and take the time. I mean, I went back to work when I had my second son. Went back to work 2 weeks later, and I never wear that as a badge of honor. I did that because the business was quite new, and it kind of needed me there. There was not that much government support for entrepreneurs, women that have children in that situation, for small business. And I really paid the price later on. At that time, I was just, you know, in survival mode. But you pay the price in that your body's tired, your mind's tired, you don't engage. I wasn't engaging properly in my family life. I was elsewhere because it was difficult to manage everything. And I probably had even like micro breakdowns, I would say, but didn't acknowledge them and just carried on because you got to carry on. And that's my background. Don't complain, carry on. And that's not always the right thing to do.
Well, when you touched upon the loss of your brother there, brother-in-law, and I think it sounds to me in a sense that it was kind of a coping mechanism, that you went back to work and that you got yourself essentially busy, you know, just got to take your mind off it. Do you think that is actually the case?
It so is. And it's not just the case in that instance. So the case, you know, by my age, it's not that unusual to start to lose the people you love. And so I repeated that practice of going through something, it being horrific. I did the same thing when my dad passed away just before we opened the business. And the same, just sort of carry on, burying myself into work. And also, you know, with kids, you feel like sometimes you can't take that time out, and you can't show that vulnerability because you have to be strong around with the people around you that you're meant to be taking care of. So I just think it's so important to take time to process things, because like I say, you pay the price if you don't. And you never get over that kind of thing, right? You carry it with you, but you learn from it. With time, you learn to reflect, you learn to have a positive lens on everything, but still, you still need time to sit, process, how is this impacting me? How has this changed my perspective? How does this color what I'm going to do going forward?
But Niki, you seem very busy all the time, right? And it would be interesting to know what you do to unwind. How do you sort of take yourself away from the world of business?
What do I do? It's so embarrassing that I haven't got some amazing hobby. Like I'm not kind of, Iron Man in my personal life or something. I love life. I love experiencing things. I love travel because that change of environment takes me out, and I love learning things and experiencing things and gaining that outside. And I like looking at, observing, engaging in how other people live. That's why I like travel so much, and going on that journey with my children and seeing it through their eyes. That's amazing. I like to travel as much as possible. Also simple things like music. I don't listen when I'm busy. Sometimes I don't listen to music enough, and that makes me sad. That takes me to another place. And it engages me in my creative spirit.
Yeah.
I love words. And again, I don't read enough as much as I'd like, because I go through periods of being an avid reader, and then I don't when I'm really busy. I love words. And I love writing words. I love reading them. So yeah, there's a number of things. I mean, sort of landscape wise, I actually like pounding city streets, whether it's here or whether it's London, Milan, Madrid. And I don't know what I'm doing living in Surrey, because I'm not like a woods forest person. Like I never really go for walks in the country, but I love go for walks in a city, and I love the beach. I love the sea. Again, that takes me to another place. It's where I reflect. It's where I feel at peace. My family's from Cyprus, and we spent long summers. Those Mediterranean beaches. That's how I learned to swim, and it's a really special place for me. So I don't know if I'm meant to be living in Miami as opposed to Surrey, but it's those two things. I listened to this podcast with Thierry Henry the other day, and I was quite comforted, because everyone tells you you've got to be in nature, you've got to walk in the woods, and it's true that all of that, being grounded in that way, it helps. But he was like, I feel at home when I'm walking on concrete. That's the only other person I've heard say that. I found that quite comforting.
But it sounds to me that all of the things that you've just described there, that you do in your sort of personal time, whether that's walking the streets, whether that's going on holiday, wherever it might be, or whatever you're doing, it sounds to me that in your spare time you're looking for that freedom. You're looking for that sort of sense of so much freedom there, because you're so busy all the other times throughout the year. You're trying to sort of escape, I suppose.
One of these days I'm just going to keep walking, and who knows if I'll come back. It's like it's that you've hit the nail on the head. That's a realization. This is like a counseling session. Yeah, it is exactly that.
Yeah.
It's exactly that. It's that freedom.
Yeah. Right, Niki, it's time for trivia time. So a few quick fire questions that we're going to ask you, just to get to know you a bit more and find out what your favourite things are in life. So first question, favourite food?
Oh, geez. Seafood and anything my mum cooks.
Nice. Favourite band or artist from the world of music?
Oh, I'm about to sound really uncool. It depends on the mood. I know this is supposed to be quick fire, right? But it's anything from like a band like Hosier, or 90s R&B.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not popular. This is not the right thing to say, but I was listening to Michael Jackson yesterday thinking, oh my God, do you remember these tracks? They were like brilliant. I love dipping in and out of the kind of decades, and I love listening to different stuff. So it's really difficult for me to pin down my favorite artist. I don't think I have that. It depends on my mood.
Yeah, I completely agree that music depends on mood, and I think the good thing about music is that it takes you back, and it can take you back to any time in your life, and sometimes you just remember that song, and it resonates with you so quickly, and you just think about where you were probably when that song came out or when you first heard it. It's quite powerful. Really.
90s hip hop, and that makes me feel like I'm at uni again.
Yeah.
And I know exactly kind of all the friends I was with. But can you pinpoint your favorite? It's quite difficult. Pinpoint your favorite band, your favorite artist.
I can pinpoint my favorite song. Mine's Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Oh my god, that's a good one.
Yeah.
See, I haven't thought about that song. After this, I'm gonna go listen to it.
Yeah.
Tears for Fears. I haven't thought about them for years.
Yeah, but I wouldn't say they're my favorite band. I like them as a band, but I wouldn't say they're my favorite band. But as a song, that is certainly my favorite song. And I think that if times of happiness, even times of sadness, you go to your favorite piece of music. I think. So yeah, but favorite holiday destination or / favorite place in the world.
Right, Cyprus makes me feel at home, and I loved Brazil. Went there on my honeymoon, and I went to Amazon, the beach. Where else did we go? Rio, obviously. But yeah, it was just so different. There's such warmth about the place, and there's like a boldness and bravery about the people there.
Yeah,
they don't care. They just walk around. I just felt free. That's it. That's what I'm seeing. I think I'm becoming a hippie. I think that's what we've discovered during this podcast.
Yeah, no, it definitely comes across as that it's just that sense of freedom for you, and I do get it, to be fair. Favorite famous person.
Favorite famous person. I just it's got to be you. You're quite famous for this podcast.
Do you know what? Loads of people have said that, and I'm not famous, but I will take it. I will take it.
Do you know why? It's because. Do you know what? I think things have changed in that word famous is so weird now.
Yeah, it is.
Back in the day, think of like a politician or a Hollywood star, and we don't think like that anymore. It's weird, this thing of celebrity, the impact social media's had on that.
Yeah.
So that's why I think I might back in the day, like 20 years ago, I might have said Al Pacino or something, that's like quite a tough one.
Yeah, fame is quite a tricky thing, isn't it? I mean, you listen to some people, with other podcasts where they're talking about fame and how much it affects them, and it's not all good. It's especially with your personal life where people are asking you for pictures and all that sort of stuff all the time, but you just want to have some time with your family, have that freedom.
Yeah.
So yeah. Biggest pet peeve.
Another difficult one, right? Weirdly, I don't think I get annoyed by those small things. It's like anything that relates to people not being honest and transparent. Like I'm not the fountain of truth all the time, but those are things. Anything, small behaviors, even that relate back to things like that. They really bother me, and I'm really bad at putting things to bed. I don't hold grudges, but I carry things with me. When I care about something or when someone displays certain behaviors like that, it bothers me a lot. I can't help it.
Yeah. Any superstitions?
No.
Favorite memory?
No. I walk under ladders. I put umbrellas up indoors.
Yeah.
I think I just don't buy into all of that.
Yeah. I know what I mean.
That's a miserable old answer, isn't
it? Favorite memory from your life?
It always involves a beach. It's that freedom again.
Yeah.
Whether it's all my kind of, I've loved my girlfriend holidays. Whether it's that or with the kids, never in an all-inclusive environment. We don't like all-inclusive. We've done that a couple of times, but you do feel that imprisonment, and you get bored or we get bored after like 3 days and just end up wasting all that money going elsewhere. But it's that free feeling like anything's possible, and that environment helps. So those are some of my favorite memories, but also my wedding day. This is very central to your life, but it's actually I felt free on my wedding day because it was what I wanted to do, having resisted the whole concept of marriage for almost my whole life.
Yeah.
Finally, 10 years after meeting my husband, we decided to get married.
Why is that though? Why did you want to resist that type of sort of commitment, I guess?
It's aligned, isn't it, with everything I've been talking about. It was the convention of it. And, my family is Greek Cypriot. So there's a lot. Think of my big fat Greek wedding. And all of the traditions are great, right? I love smashing plates and eating loads of food. But that convention and the place of a woman in marriage historically, I don't know, today maybe, but all of those things made me feel trapped.
Yeah.
And I didn't like a lot of the conventions around even kind of, you're supposed to change your name, and all those things made me resist it.
Yeah.
And for a long time I was like, we're good. My husband, what's the point? And then one day I was like, why haven't you proposed yet?
Yeah. One exchange to the other, that, isn't it? Yeah.
TikTok, come on, 10 years later.
Yeah.
I had some sort of urgency around it.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it must be. Well, the good thing is that person is the right one for you. If you were resisting it, but obviously he's made you think otherwise, so that means he is the right person for you, doesn't it? I suppose. So yeah.
Kudos to him for being so patient.
What would you say inspires you on a daily basis?
Without doubt, my children. I've got 12-year-old, 8-year-olds, Sophia and Michael, and they have intuitions and insights that just blow me away. Like I was in the middle of having a go at them the other day, both of them, like, stop shouting or whatever. And they identified that was not justified. It's coming. I was just a bit stressed, and they were just like, "Mummy, I think you need a hug." And it kind of stopped me in my tracks, and they just gave me a hug, and I kind of melted. But there's things like that where you just, they see things. You think they feel tensions, and they're incredibly intuitive and insightful. It's true of a lot of kids. And I always tell myself I need to be more careful about the environment that we're creating for them, even what you say, not to censor everything. I don't believe in that, but they pick up on so much more than you think they do.
Yeah, no, I agree. Best piece of advice you've ever been given?
One of my best friends, when I felt guilty with the children, when I haven't spent enough time with them, particularly when they were kind of babies, she said to me one day, guilt is a wasted emotion. It's not wasting your time, expending energy thinking about that. And you know what, that one phrase, guilt is a wasted emotion. Like I hate wasting time and wasting energy. So that really stuck. And every time I'm feeling bad about, oh God, I haven't spent enough time, even beyond my children, with that friend, or that you can only do what you can do. And guilt is a wasted emotion. That's a really valuable piece of advice.
Yeah, no, I agree. So last question. I don't know if this one might be a bit of a tough one for you, but 3 guests you would invite to a dinner party.
Dead or alive?
Yeah, dead or alive.
My dad, he died 10 years ago, and he's the biggest inspiration, teacher that I ever had. So I'd love to bring him back. We had great conversations, and I miss that. My dad. There's this guy I've kind of become obsessed with. I've been stalking him on social media. Robert Greene. Do you know who he is?
No,
he wrote that book, Power, Laws of Human Nature. He sometimes can come across like a bit negative. He'll be like, people wear a mask, and or people that have envy, he says stuff like that, like people that have envy, sometimes it manifests in a really toxic way. And it's almost like I feel sometimes he's like speaking to me. He speaks the truth about people, character, what's important. He does it in a way that's not fashionable, right? And it's sometimes kind of not what you want to hear. His books are so powerful. And I'd love to sit down and have a conversation with him, and get my dad involved.
Yeah.
And you said 3, right?
Yeah.
Like Brad Pitt. It's where I sound shallow because he's just still very beautiful. So it'd be nice to
a bit of eye candy, yeah.
Oh God, it's bad. Yeah, but yeah, those are three brilliant guests that'd make a.
Yeah.
I have no idea what I'd cook, but that'd make a brilliant.
You know, you mentioned about your dad and obviously the conversations that you'd had with him throughout your life and knowing him. I mean, what do you think he would think of you now, obviously after 10 years now?
You know, he was actually, we had brilliant conversations. He was also in some ways a man of few words. He was very action. I learned a lot through living and breathing what he was doing. He came to this country. He didn't have anything, worked various jobs, then a fish and chip shop, then hairdressers in South London, then the hairdressers in the city. Everything he did was, I was so inspired by all of that. And he had a tough life, and he just powered through it. But that was so inspiring. But I tell you, the last, it's funny. So he died very suddenly before we set up Howat Avraam, just almost immediately before. And it's almost like his last words were like, "What are you going to set up a business for? You know, you've got a nice." It was almost like he was saying, "I have almost killed myself to make sure that you've got a more comfortable life." Right? What are you doing? It's hard, you know, setting up your own business and dealing with staff problems. And, you know, we really, growing up, we lived and breathed all of those problems because my parents didn't hide anything. It was kind of anxiety inducing at times, but we went through highs and lows together. I listened to all the conversations I knew all of the staff problems. We knew what the profit and loss figures were. We knew everything. It was like an open thing radiating around the house. So he was like, "What are you doing? Don't do that. Go and get a nice job." At the time, I was being offered equity in kind of larger firms, which was basically like, what am I going to do? Go into business with people I don't know. I'd rather invest in myself and my friends, you know. So those were his last words, like, "Don't do it." So he would presumably be kind of, you know, looking at it. Hasn't been easy, right? But I used to so enjoy those, you know, those moments. As I got older, it became less parent-child and more friends.
Would you think, like, just going back to the business element and obviously his worry or anxiety for you to create your own business, I suppose, I think he'd be proud of you. I mean, I don't know him obviously, but do you think he would be proud of you? I think he would be.
Yeah, I think.
So to where your position is now, as obviously a successful business owner, but also looking at change for others as well, I think you would be proud of that.
Yeah, you're gonna make me cry, aren't you? That's your aim. It's like actually touching, really touching. Because my parents were never. I've got two older sisters. We laugh about this. My parents never. I don't think they ever said "well done." They're not those sort of parents. They're like, "Well done, good work." They were more like, "Yeah, what are you gonna do next?"
Yeah.
They supported us in kind of other ways. They weren't vocal about it in that way. But they were hugely supportive in their actions. And so, yeah, I think he would be like, "What are you doing?" But maybe proud without telling me about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really nice thing to say.
Yeah, I think he would be. Look, Niki, honestly, it's been an absolute pleasure to get to know you a bit more.
Thank you, Mark.
And talk about your life lessons and career to date. So thank you for your time. To finish the episode, perhaps you would like to tell us a little bit more where people can find either Howat Avraam or you as a person with your personal brand, whether it be website or social media.
Yeah, Howat Avraam's got the Howat Avraam website, and nikiavraam.com is the Niki Avraam website, where you can find me for keynotes, masterclasses, workshops around the ownership culture. And I'm on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, and my main platforms. I'm coming to TikTok soon.
Yeah, watch out, TikTok. Watch out, Niki's about.
Watch out, Niki's about. Yeah. So yeah.
So thank you very much, Niki. And
thanks, that was amazing, like an amazing chat.
Yeah, good. No, I'm glad you enjoyed it.
You managed to create this environment where I just feel like I can, you know, spill my guts and be comfortable in doing so. So thank you for that.
So that's it for this episode of People Behind Brands. If you like what you heard today, do yourself a favour. Subscribe to our exclusive content now and follow us on our social media when you search People Behind Brands podcast or at podcast PBB. Join us next time for a brand new guest as we explore more life lessons from the world of business. We'll see you soon. Ta-da!